Hello everyone, welcome back to this channel. Today we are going to discuss about one of the most scoring and important topics of the CDS English, that is ordering of sentences, also known as Parajumbles and very popularly known as the S1 S6 sentences. So before beginning, let's try to know the essence of this. So the basic thing is that sentence 1 and sentence 6 is given to us, and the 4 sentences in between, we need to arrange them in proper sequence so that the whole set of 6 sentences make sense. Now, so there are 6 important points that I focus on while solving these questions. After describing all of these points, we will go with examples on how to do it and then solve the 2024 one English paper, this type of questions from that particular paper. I hope it's clear. Beginning with the very first point, pronouns. So what are pronouns? They usually replace the nouns. So why do you think it is very important to look? For example, in a sentence, out of the 4 sentences, when you see words like he, she, it, they, etc., they cannot begin a whole new sentence. So those are clues. They point back to something which has been already mentioned. If a sentence starts with a pronoun, it's almost never the first in the sequence. So there are 2 possibilities. Either in sentence 1, we are talking about something and then that thing is described in another sentence, or there must be, suppose for example in there are PQRs given. For example, in Q there is a sentence starting with he, blah blah blah. So either in sentence 1 there needs to be something which refers to he, in respect to he, or there must be out of P, R and S a sentence in which the broader perspective of he is described. Now how will I explain this in short? We are going to take one easy example each and then one complicated example. We are doing the pronoun trap first. For example, in the first, in S1, I have got Ravi loves cricket. Now in P, we have he plays every Sunday. Now who is he? He refers to Ravi. That means when I have a sentence in which it says he plays every Sunday, so the term he refers to Ravi. So I know that after S1, P is supposed to come. Let's move on to a bit complicated example. The Treaty of Versailles ended World War I in 1919. So I am considering another sentence number Q. So P is there, Q is there, R and S. So for us, this is sentence number Q. It imposed heavy preparations on Germany. Now we have it. What is it? It is referring to the Treaty of Versailles. So soon after sentence number 1, what is coming is Q. This is the basic idea of pronouns. So when you need to look at the pronouns first, find out the pronouns and try to figure out which example it is. Second point. Our second point is connectors. Now what do we mean by connectors? Words like however, therefore, but, although, because. These are kind of the words which will stick 2 different sentences together. They tell you whether the next sentence should be a cause, a result, a contrast, or any kind of continuation. We will move in to the next point. See, simple sentence we are following one. It rained heavily all night. However, the match went on as planned. So this however is referring to the situation of raining heavily. So you know that however is connecting the sentences. It rained heavily all night and the match went on as planned. So these are the connecting points. For another complicated example that we can think of, the Indian economy has shown signs of recovery. Therefore, the central bank has decided to maintain interest rates. So this therefore is gluing these two sentences. So when you see this kind of connectors, you need to find out the word, the sentence, which is supposed to be before it and after it. The next point, this brings me to chronology and process clues. Now what does that mean? Some sentences describe events in order. In order. That is, something has happened in sentence 1 and then that continues to be. Then to sentence 3 in that way. Chronology. Like what has happened after what. So words like first, when you write FRIST, first, then, before, eventually, as a result. So these sentences will tell you which comes first. Now this is a very common example which usually happens and you can look into it. To make tea, follow these steps. First, boil water. So it is very obvious that this particular sentence has to come after sentence 1 has been told. This is the easier example. For a complicated example, let's see. The American Civil War progressed in multiple phases. First, several southern states seceded from the Union. Later, key battles like Gettysburg turned the tide of the war. So, very important. When you see this particular sentence in S, you have got sentence 1, P, Q, R, S, and then sentence 6. When you read the sentence S, which is somewhat like this and begins with letter, it is very clear to you that before this there has to be another sentence. In this way you can pick out. Next important point, noun-pronoun linking. We have already spoken about this in the very first point itself. You see, the non-alignment movement was formed during the Cold War. It aimed to keep member nations independent of both superpower blocs. Now, it is referring to non-alignment movement. That means mandatory pairs. What you find out is that S1 and R are mandatory pairs. So, no matter what, you need to put this together. Any way possible, you need to put this together. This brings me to what we call is theme consistency. Why this is important? Now, sentences on the same subtopic should stay together. If you mix background info and conclusion, then put some examples in between, that will confuse the whole flow. So you give the background info, then describe, conclusion, and then example. So that way, any way possible, the flow should be maintained. Starting easy with an example. India has many famous cities. Jaipur is known as the Pink City. Mumbai is the financial capital. So you see, you're talking about famous cities first and then describing a few famous cities. The theme is consistent. Now, let's check some complicated examples. Now, why I am using the term complicated mostly? Because these are longer sentences. You see, when you look into this particular part, it looks easy. So, it actually tricks your brain to feel, oh, this is easy, I can solve it easily. But when you see these type of questions, this actually make you feel tensed or anxious. Oh my god, the sentences look long. But the essence is basically same. India's freedom struggle had several important leaders. See, we are talking about important leaders, and then we jump into Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Bal Gangadhar Tilak inspired nationalism through his writings. We are given an example completed about Bal Gangadhar Tilak, and then we came into Lala Lajpat Rai. Lala Lajpat Rai protested against the Simon Commission. So we talk about a particular topic, then introduce the example, elaborate about it, another example, elaborate about it. Very easy. We have discussed the 5 points, and the very last point, which I mentioned in the very beginning, that is called the sandwich test essentially, which we have completed point number 1 about pronouns, then connectors, chronology, theme consistency, mandatory pairs, and sandwich test. What is sandwich test? So S1 is your top bread, S6 is your bottom bread, and then we have all the things in between, that is P, Q, R and S. The middle must connect, this whole part must connect S1 and S1 and S6 very logically, very smoothly. So read the chosen order after you have connected, okay, S1, and then for example we have got P, R, S, Q, and then S6. This is example. So you need to, after you have fixed the arrangement, read your chosen order. Read the whole chosen order from S1 to S6. Now if it feels jumpy or broken somewhere, know that okay, this doesn't fit properly, then look for other options. But when you find okay, yes, S1, P, R, S, Q and then S6, this sounds well, this sounds put together, that means this is correct. Now this brings me to an important question, that okay, this sounds correct to me. Now how do you know that is actually correct? Whenever you read books or you have practiced whatever questions you are doing, so subconsciously you already know which is correct or wrong, because you know how that thing actually makes sense for you. So in that way, when you feel like that okay, this order is correct, probably you are not wrong. Okay, you are not wrong. Now moving on to, this is CDS 1 2024 question paper, and we are doing order of sentences from that. Starting with, this is sentence number 1. The Attorney General of India is appointed by the President of India. This told us that the Attorney General of India is appointed by President of India. Now read sentence 6. He shall receive such remuneration as the President may determine. We have read the sentence 1, sentence 6. Next point was to read all the sentences in between. Why? Because this will give us the idea. And then we will also look into what are the other points given. In the performance of his duties, the Attorney General shall have the right of audience in all courts in the territory of India. Now when we see this, in the performance of his duties, this sentence absolutely cannot come after S1. Why? Because there has to be more description about his performance first. The Attorney General shall hold office during the pleasure of the President. Now when you read this particular sentence, that shall hold office during the pleasure of the President, this certainly reminds me of sentence 6. After this you can write that he shall receive such remuneration as the President may determine. The fact that the Attorney General is holding office during the pleasure of the President, the remuneration also, it is determined by the President. So these two feel connected. So for me, back of the mind I have that okay, Q can come before S6. So this I will check the question. Now you see, this is the thing. There are 3 options with Q at the end. So high stakes, chances are there that it ends with Q. Fine, there are chances. Now we will read R. Any person qualified to be a judge of the Supreme Court can be appointed for the post. Read this sentence very carefully. Any person qualified to be a judge of the Supreme Court can be appointed for the post. For which post? Oh yes, for the post of Attorney General. Where did we discuss this? Okay, this was in the very first sentence. That means it's clear that after S1, what comes is R. The Attorney General of India is appointed by the President of India. Any person qualified to be a judge of the Supreme Court can be appointed for the post. You see how S1 to S6 is an elaboration. It is an elaboration giving us more info. So this is very clear that R is going to come after S6. Now you may tell, okay, how are you so sure? You didn't even read S6 till now. Fine, I'll read S. But still I have an option. You see, this particular option has R at the beginning. But I do not choose it right now. I'll read the last sentence also. The duty of the Attorney General is to give advice to the Government of India upon such legal matters and to perform such other duties of a legal character as may from time to time be referred to him or assigned to him by the President. Now you see, this sentence elaborates further that okay, the president is involved, the president is assigning him the task and to discharge the function conferred on him by or under the constitution or any other law for the time being in force. This sentence, this is very long, I understand, but you read the last part. And to discharge the functions conferred on him by or under the constitution or any other law for the time being in force. We know that R is in the second one, so we cross this out. Now you see what can come after S. What can come after S? This is talking about the performance, right? How he is going to do things, how he is going to function. So probably in the performance of his duty, probably this one comes, but still we are not really very sure. So we will see if this can come in the third sentence. So Supreme Court can be appointed for the post. The duty of the Attorney General. Now you see there is a very amazing chronology going on. We are talking about the Attorney General in the first sentence. He is appointed by whom? We got to know. In the second sentence, that is R, we are talking about his qualification. Now, after qualification, we can talk about his duty. So that is essentially S6. We are talking about duty. And then we are left with P and Q. You need to figure out which out of this comes first. In the performance of his duties. See, we are talking about duty in S6. That means it's very sure that right after S, P is supposed to come because this is already elaborating his duties, right? And then you see, you have to check if Q and S6 are correlated. The Attorney General shall hold office during the pleasure of the President. He shall receive such remuneration as the President may determine. Oh, we already discussed before. I rubbed, that's why I forgot. We already discussed, then Q and S6 should be together. So now if we do the checklists, then he, for example, R and he shall, when we talk about this, we figured out the mandatory pair. We remember the point of mandatory pair? Yes? So Q and S6 are mandatory pairs. And we have already decided that S1, R and S along with P are coming together. After that, Q and S6 are mandatory pairs. So put Q and S6 right here. When you check the options, look, this particular option has got RSPQ. RSPQ. So we have found out the correct answer. You thought you can't, but as I explained, could you figure out, okay, this would be the answer? Yes. So we are up to here now. Next, we will move on to the second question. This is becoming very long, but I thought explaining it to you is rather like very important. So I will read out another example. I'm not sure which sounds more complicated, which feels more complicated. So I'll simply go with these questions. We'll go with the second sentence itself, right? We start reading it out. Cool. Now, what does sentence 1 tell us? Sentence 1. COVID-19 was a health catastrophe that caused great distress. So the main subject is COVID-19, remember. Sentence 6 tells it triggered the movement of more than 7 million people through lockdown and post-lockdown periods. So this is giving a closure, how things turned out. Now we will have to find out something which elaborates number 1, that is COVID-19 was a health catastrophe that caused great distress. Now very simple option for us would be to look into all the sentences first. Okay, there is another thing very important. As I told you in that, if you have checked the video where I was solving the whole paper of English and giving you tips and tricks, I told you to look at the options first. You see, these two options are starting with S, these two options are starting with Q. So you already know that no way this will save your time. It is going to save a lot of your time. See, so the sentence after S1 will either start with S or start with Q. There is no way it is starting with P or R because there is no options. So we will read Q and S. See, made in India vaccines were sent to more than 90 countries on a commercial and grant basis. Now, if you look into this, then you understand the first sentence is talking about COVID-19 and the second sentence is talking about vaccines directly, no connection. Here we were talking about a health catastrophe. So explain about it more now. Why going directly into vaccines? That means this is not coming. What is coming? Of course is because during the pandemic, India re-established its credentials as the pharmacy of the world by supplying medicines and equipment to over 150 countries in the face of daunting logistical challenges. So you see, how we just described COVID-19 was a health catastrophe, and then we come directly to during this pandemic. So during the time frame of the pandemic, so we are elaborating. Now we know that after sentence 1 comes is. So this 2 also cannot be the answer. So what could be the possible answer? Either A or B. Now, do we see any common here for the mandatory pair? No, we do not find any common here. Now, I will erase all of this part so that it's clean and easy for us. So, we know after sentence 1, we have got sentence S, done. Now, we'll figure out with all of these. Check the option. Please check the option. It says Q, either Q or P right after S. So we are not going to check R. This is another important way. We will not check R. We will see P and Q only. Read the last part. And equipment to over 150 countries in the face of daunting logistical challenges. India also undertook the Vande Bharat mission. So it is telling India also undertook Vande Bharat mission. But we were talking about India being the leading pharmacy, talking about supply chains, talking about sending it to 150 countries. Where is the explanation? So this list chances. Let's read this. Made in India vaccines were sent to more than 90 countries on a commercial and grant basis. So there are high chances that after S, Q is what is coming to picture. So we already have an answer for us. But no, we will not choose the option till now. Well, if you are writing the exam, then by now you know the answer is SQRP. So please mark it and don't waste your time. But if you have lot of time and you don't want to make a mistake, so you have to read all of those. And right now I am explaining it to you, so I am reading all of the things. If you are writing an answer, then please you may have chosen the answer by now. Okay, we have got S1, we have got S, we have got Q. Fine. Next, India will look into R and P. India justified its credentials as a global HADR player, deploying rapid response teams to Maldives, Kuwait and Mauritius, launching the multi-phased mission Sagar. Then we have India also undertook the Vande Bharat mission. So when you see the term also, there are very high chances that something similar to this has already happened before. So when we talk about a whole multi-phased mission of Sagar, then something similar to that also was undertaken, that is the Vande Bharat mission. So now you have the idea, right, that how to do it. Then we have options to cut. For example, in the very first questions, now P, Q, R, S, all the four were in the option. So there was no option to eliminate and understand. But in this case, very easy deal. You can eliminate and understand. So in this question, we figured out, okay, SQRP is the answer. Now remember the sandwich method. Find out the answer and read the whole sentence properly. This is taking a lot of time, but I am trying to explain everything to you in detail. Now read. COVID-19 was a health catastrophe that caused great distress. Then, made in India vaccines were sent to more than 90 countries on a commercial and grant basis. Did I just read wrong? Oh yes, I did. I'm so sorry. I read wrong. You know, this thing, please be very careful for your own deal. I'm also telling you because this is very difficult. After S1, I need to see S also. No, this S and S1, I get so complicated. Like I get so confused with this. After S1, S was supposed to come. I'm so sorry. Moving on to this. COVID-19 was a health catastrophe that caused great distress. During the pandemic, India re-established its credentials as the pharmacy of the world by supplying medicines and equipment to over 150 countries in the face of daunting logistical challenge. Made in India vaccines, you see, continuation is there, chronology is there. We are talking about supplying equipments, then we have vaccines. Made in India vaccines were sent to more than 90 countries on a commercial and grant basis. India justified its credentials as a global HADR player, deploying rapid response teams to Maldives, Kuwait and Mauritius, launching the multi-phased mission Sagar. India also undertook the Vande Bharat mission. It triggered the movement of more than 7 million people through lockdown and post-lockdown periods. So you see, undertook the Vande Bharat mission, it triggered. You saw the pronoun connection. So in this way you need to solve, and please remember the point of elimination, that actually helps you very much. Now we will see this question. You see PQ, RS, all are there in the option. You can't use elimination here. You can't use elimination. But here you see P, S, Q, Q. So don't check R first. Check with this. Now check with Q. Why check with Q? I will say because there are sometimes chances that okay, this can be the answer because it is repeated twice. But the examiner can be playing mind games with you. Maybe none of this is answer. Maybe the answer is from here. So you need to check all of those. But when you have similar options, then it's kind of easy to look. But I saw, see, most of the questions have got PQ, RS only as options because they will make it a little hard for you. But back to this question, it has got QQ and then like that. And this particular question has got QQRR. So this is easy, it has got two options. So you need to look into all of the things, how things are turning out. That's really important. And I'm not solving all the rest of the questions because it would be taking up a long time. But I hope you have understood the different points that I was trying to explain to you, and you have understood how we can solve S1, S6 maybe in a little simpler way. This was my tips that I usually follow in the exam, and it helps. So just for a quick revision through this mind map, I'd like to explain. First one, check the pronouns because they usually follow the nouns. Then go for connectors. They are very, very important. You should go for the connectors. And then we have got chronology, theme consistency, mandatory pairs, sandwich tests. So this was it for the video for making S1 S6 little simpler for our own good. And if you have liked the explanation, then please let me know in the comments below. If you want any other topics of English that I should simplify, there are various other topics of the spotting errors and then PQRS as in the normal ones, the plain ones, then passage, etc. Then I will make videos for all of the different topics. Please let me know in the comment section below if you want explanations on any other topics. I'll surely make a video to explain those. For idioms and phrases, I am trying to post one idiom every day, so look into that also. And if you want, then I can post more idioms in the Telegram. I can post a PDF or a picture of idioms, that would help too. So yes, if you have liked the video, please hit the like button. If you have loved the video, just comment and tell me. And if you have any suggestions for me, tell me what to do next. And yes, that was it for the video. I hope you understood. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out.